Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you all so much for joining me today for our Get to Know Ontario Tech University presentation. Now, before we begin, I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping notes. So to start, our presentation will likely take about 20 to 25 minutes. So I do ask that you keep any of the questions that you have for the end of the presentation, where we'll have about another 20 to 25-minute Q&A session as well. Now, let's begin. Now, to start our presentation, I would like to provide a land acknowledgement, and this is something that our university community does to continue reconciliation and allyship for Indigenous peoples. Ontario Tech University acknowledges the lands and people of the Mississauga of Scugog Islands First Nations. We are thankful to be welcomed on these lands in friendship. The lands we are situated on are covered by the Williams Treaties and are the traditional territory of the Mississauga, a branch of the Greater Anishinaabe Nation, including Algonquin, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. These lands remain home to a number of Indigenous nations and people. Now, without our past, present, and future students like yourselves, our university wouldn't have gotten too far. So let's start off our presentation by taking a look at some of our past students. Firstly, we have my personal friend, Jessica, who is a recent graduate of our university's kinesiology program. Now, first year, Jessica knew that this is where she was going to grow and where she was going to succeed, and she did just that. Now, beyond her academics, throughout her university career, Jessica became the vice president and president of our Ontario Tech Student Union, and she's now working her dream job as a project manager for the Ministry of Innovation, Science, and Economic Development of Canada. Next, we have Lisa Bailey, who I've also had the pleasure of working with, and who represents our Faculty of Engineering and Applied Sciences all over campus. While doing a major in mechanical engineering and a minor in sustainability studies, Lisa was a tour guide, a student follow-up caller, and an avid volunteer at events all over campus. Now, towards the end of her university journey, Lisa took advantage of her support system here at Ontario Tech to prepare her for her first of many job interviews, ultimately deciding to accept a wonderful job offer with Bruce Power. Next, we have Jesse Allen, who is another member of our Ontario Tech community, who actually joined in his second year as a transfer student. Now, Jesse's undergraduate career in chemistry at Ontario Tech prepared him for his graduate studies and led to his success in achieving his PhD. Now, according to Jesse, the skills that he learned in both his undergraduate and graduate courses, labs, and thesis-related projects are still being used in his career path as a chemist to this day. Now, outside of his educational journey, Jesse still calls the chemistry program small, but tight-knit group of students his friends in the present day. And there's also one other person that I would love to introduce you to today, and that is me. So hello, everyone. My name is Roger Ragnath, and I'm a student recruitment officer here at Ontario Tech University. I also recently graduated from our university's very own Communication and Digital Media Studies program here as well. Now, throughout my 4 years as a student here at the university, I've been a part of various work study positions, participated in many experiential learning opportunities, joined some different clubs and sports teams, and I've met hundreds, if not thousands, of wonderful people here alongside my university journey. Now, Ontario Tech has provided myself and these 3 others with some amazing opportunities. But as you can see, no 2 students take the exact same journey. And that's why I'm here today to share with you what our university might have in store for you. Now, when we opened our doors in 2002, we had you all in mind. All of our programs are career-oriented and tailored to your generation. Now, with approximately 85% of the jobs haven't even been invented yet that will exist in 2030, we've created our university again with that in you in mind. And that's why all of our programs are career-oriented, so that whether you want to work right away or continue some education after your undergraduate degree, you'll find a program and the experiences that you need right here. Now, our programs are all relevant to today's job market, ensuring that you'll be prepared for your field post-graduation. And it's demonstrated through every single one of our programs having some form of experiential learning opportunities. And keep that term in mind because we're going to talk about it in a few more slides from now. And it's also showcased through our graduates who are extremely successful with employment right after graduation. So in a nutshell, we are a 21st century university designed for a 21st century workplace tailored to your generation. Now, let's talk a little bit about these fantastic programs that you've heard me mention so far. Now, there are honestly so many different things to consider when choosing a program, such as what you're interested in, what you're strong at, and what you can see yourself doing as a long-term career. Now, one of my best pieces of advice is to do what you love, as it'll make your future studying and career so much more enjoyable. Now, if you're like me, when I was in grade 12, I'm going to be completely honest, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was older. Or maybe you do have a general idea of what you want to do, but you don't know about all of the possible programs and careers out there. Now, maybe and hopefully one of these 7 areas of study speak to you. So let's take some time to go over the various areas of expertise that our university covers, and we can share how they will align with your future career needs. Now, if topics such as entrepreneurship, big brand names, finance, and overall the world of business speak to you, then these are some of the programs that might interest you. You can take our comprehensive commerce program and then apply to switch into one of the more specialized majors after your first year. And these can include accounting, finance, marketing, HR management, or technology management. And you can also apply to those majors directly out of high school as well. Now, a lot of our graduates from these programs go on to work in a diverse range of businesses across Canada, including CIBC, BMO, IBM, TD, Deloitte, and many more amazing organizations. Now, maybe you have a huge interest in computers and technology, and if so, I can certainly say that as a tech-embedded university, we won't let you down. Our most competitive program listed here is our computer science program, where you'll learn a ton of different programming languages, from Java, Python, C++, C#, Swift, and many more. Now, you may also be doing some labs where you do things such as following basic facial recognition code or machine learning integration with AI. Now, our game development and interactive media program is also a fairly exceptional and competitive program and has students craft a new game in the program each year. Now, it doesn't just focus on gaming though, but rather overall simulation in a variety of different scenarios. So for example, using virtual reality for first responder training. And this program highlights how there may be plenty of career opportunities out there that you may not know of just yet, but we're still going to help you advance in your field. Now, if you have a passion for teaching anywhere from kindergarten to grade 12, then we certainly have a program for you as well. Now, I'll start off by noting that you do need another undergraduate degree before pursuing a Bachelor of Education and a teaching career. But don't worry, we can help make this process as smooth as possible for you. We offer a concurrent education program, which gives you an early acceptance into our Bachelor of Education program right after you finish your other undergraduate degree at Ontario Tech. So if accepted to the concurrent education program, right after you finish your other undergraduate degree in about 4 or 5 years' time, you'll already have this early acceptance into our Bachelor of Education program, so long as you've kept an eligible GPA. Now, this is great because our Bachelor of Education programs are fairly competitive, as they're only 16 months, which is a lot shorter compared to many other universities, which makes the programs very competitive. So again, that concurrent education program just provides a nice little smoother transition for you into the Bachelor of Education programs. Now, speaking of programs that are highly competitive, but also highly known, engineering at Ontario Tech is one of a kind, and it's known on national and international levels. We've been ranked the 3rd in Ontario and 9th in Canada for the best university to study engineering at by the US News, and we have a top 5 mechanical engineering program and a top 10 electrical engineering program in Canada. Now, similarly to the commerce program, you can go into the comprehensive engineering program and then apply to switch into one of the more specialized majors after your first year. Now, mechatronics engineering is one of the most popular and competitive engineering programs here, as it focuses on mechanical robotic systems, or robots, through studying both hardware and software technologies. The automotive engineering program here is also one of its kind, as we prepare our students for the advancing automotive industry. And we do this through studying alternative technologies such as fuel cell-driven cars or electric cars. Our university is also home to the ACE Wind Tunnel, which is a $1 million facility you can see pictured in the background here, that is used to simulate a variety of climates. And we use this for things such as product testing, vehicle testing, as you can see in the background, first responder training, and we even occasionally hold events in it throughout the year as well. Now, if you're looking to go into a career around human health, the body, or medicine, then this is also a great place to be. We have some broader programs such as health sciences or kinesiology, and then there are many more specific programs such as nursing or medical laboratory science. Now, nursing is a very popular and competitive program here at Ontario Tech, because in nursing, clinical placements here will start in your very first year. And for nursing, plus all of the other health science programs, there are tons of labs with high-tech equipment used for simulations. Now, labs can involve you doing things such as taking blood from each other, or helping a mannequin through some fairly advanced tasks, or perhaps helping one student walk around in a restricted mobility suit. Now, in med lab, for example, you might be doing something where you work your way up from mock taking blood from a banana to eventually taking blood from a mannequin, and then when you're comfortable, eventually taking blood from each other. Now, we actually hold the only undergraduate degree guaranteeing medical laboratory science program in Ontario, so our graduates from that program are extremely sought after by employers. Now, in the science field, we have plenty of programs to cover a variety of specializations. We have your standard chemistry, bio, and physics, but we also have some more specialized programs such as astrophysics, life sciences, and new this year, we even have a marine biology program. Now, speaking of marine biology, we do have a 20,000 liter wet lab open for undergraduate research as well. Our forensic science program listed here is another special undergraduate program as it's one of 5 in Ontario. Now, the highlight of doing this program at Ontario Tech is our crime scene house, which is a 2-story building used for students to recreate, photograph, document, and analyze different elements of a crime scene. Now, a lot of the science professors argue that there are so many things that you can do with a science degree, and you're not solely held to 1 or 2 career paths, which is always fantastic to hear. And of course, saving the best for last, we have our social science and humanities programs. Now, if you think I'm biased just because I graduated from one of these programs, chances are you may be a little bit right. But some of our popular programs listed here are our criminology and justice program and our legal studies program. Now, our social science and humanities programs are all offered on our downtown Oshawa location, offering students tons of community engagement opportunities, practicum and internship placement opportunities, and research opportunities. We've actually been ranked the #1 undergraduate university in Canada for social science and humanities grants. And again, as a communication and digital media studies graduate myself, I would love to discuss this program further if you do have any questions about it. Now, in the last few slides, you may have heard me throw around the terms experiential learning. Now, what experiential learning is it's very similar to co-op in high school, but there are plenty more ways to get this experiential or hands-on type learning. Now, at Ontario Tech, every single one of our programs has some form of experiential learning. It just varies from program to program. So for example, Connor Smiley was a game development student who chose Ontario Tech because he wanted to follow his passion of game development. He ended up landing an internship as an engine programmer for the video game conglomerate Ubisoft. Or there's Talisa Haskins, who's a recent graduate of our university's forensic psychology program, and she chose Ontario Tech specifically for its practicum component. Now, Talisa says that her advisors went above and beyond to secure her a placement at the Ontario Shores Centre for Mental Health Sciences in the forensic unit. Now, after finishing her undergraduate program and pursuing a master's in counseling, Talisa now runs her very own private clinic. Personally, I also had the opportunity to do some undergraduate research where I looked at the correlation between our local university students and the external Oshawa community. And this in turn actually helped me land a summer job right after graduation with the Downtown Oshawa Business Improvement Association. Now, beyond academics, there is so much more to being a Ridgeback here at Ontario Tech University. Now, a Ridgeback refers not only to our varsity athletes or our mascot, Hunter the Ridgeback, that you can see pictured there in the blue, but also every single member of our community here at Ontario Tech. So let's discuss where your Ridgeback journey will begin and how exactly you can apply to become an Ontario Tech Ridgeback. Now, this timeline is specific for Ontario high school students, with your first step being waiting for your high school guidance counselor to give you your Ontario University's Application Center or your OUAC PIN. Your next step will be applying by January 13th. And in February and April, we have a variety of scholarship deadlines approaching. So that's just something to keep note of. But the date that I'm sure a lot of you will want to keep in mind is May 27th, as this is the last possible date to hear back from Ontario Tech with an offer of admissions, position on our waitlist, or a refusal. You'll then have until June 1st to accept your offer and apply to residence to guarantee your spot. Now, before I get into this slide, I will put the disclaimer out there that these numbers are based on averages and can vary from year to year, program to program. You can feel free to take a screenshot or a picture of this slide if you would like, but here we just have a rough overview of how much university costs. So as you can see, it's about $8,000 to almost $12,000 a year for local students and about $17,000 to $26,000 a year for students living in our residence buildings. And the things included in those numbers there are your tuition, ancillary fees, laptop fees, residences, and meal plans. Now, I'm almost 100% sure that you're going to like my next slide better than this slide. Why? because these are dollar amounts and opportunities for you. Now, Ontario Tech has scholarships, bursaries, awards, and on-campus work to help you fund your education. Now, Ontario high school students coming into your first year, you may be eligible for an entrance scholarship based off of your incoming grades. So based off of your top 6 4U or 4M courses, we will automatically apply those awards of recognition to your account if you're eligible grade-wise. This does not include any second attempts at a course, so high school students really use this as encouragement to boost your grade 12 marks coming into university. Now, we also have many other major entrance scholarships and bigger scholarships available to our incoming students as well. Our Student Awards and Financial Aid Office is here to help assist you with any scholarship, bursary, grants, or financial questions that you may have. Now, you're probably starting to see how life as a Ridgeback means so much more than being an academic student here at Ontario Tech. Life on campus is about more than just sitting in a classroom. It's really about making friends, joining clubs and societies, attending events, cheering a varsity sports team on at a home game, and overall, it's really about being a part of this Ridgeback community that will always be here to support you and help you become the person that you want to be. Now, with your student experience going a little bit outside of the classroom, let's take some time to talk about our campus and our city. Now, Ontario Tech University is located in Oshawa, Ontario, which is a part of the Durham region. We're located in close proximity to the 401 highway, so we're about a 45-ish minute drive away from downtown Toronto. Now, there are many significant landmarks in entertainment, food, and culture throughout the area. So for some local fun, students often venture out to Neb's Fun World for some bowling, Cineplex to watch a movie, or one of the many restaurants in the area such as One Eye Jack's, St. Louis Bar and Grill, or the Canadian Brew House. Now, if you're like me and you need coffee to function in the morning, then there are also many other places to grab some breakfast or a coffee cup in the morning, such as Cork and Bean or Brew Wizards. Now, there's also many Oshawa specialty spots, as I like to refer to them, such as the Oshawa Center Shopping Mall, the Tribute Community Center, which is home to our Oshawa Generals OHL hockey team, or Pingle's Farm Market, where you can grab some amazing fall photos. Now, overall, there's a ton to do within the Oshawa area, or as I mentioned, you can always take the quick trip down to Toronto for some more added fun. Now, looking even closer at our campus, we do have residence buildings available. So at Ontario Tech, we have 2 residence buildings, South Village and Simcoe Village. Now, costs vary depending on the type of room you apply for, as well as the cost for your meal plan depending on your eating habits. So a quick note for our food options, we do have vegan, vegetarian, halal, gluten-free, and dairy-free meal options available. Now, we can guarantee your stay in residence so long as you apply before June 1st. So if you know that you're going to need to stay in our residence buildings, you need to get your residence application in before that date. Now, let's talk a little bit about the room styles here. We'll start on the left with South Village, where there's only one room type. Here, you have your own bedroom with a shared space for a kitchenette and bathroom. And in South Village, a meal cart is required, so that's just something to take note of when applying to that room type. Next is Simcoe Village North, which is the exact same as Simcoe Village, it's the exact same as South Village, except there, a meal cart is not required. Now, to our right, we have Simcoe Village South and Simcoe Village Central. Now, these 2 room types are almost identical with a shared space for bed, desks, kitchen, and bathroom. The only difference between those 2 room types is that the fridge in Simcoe Village Central is a little bit bigger. So if you're going to be doing a lot of cooking and storing food, then that might be the room type for you. Now, more information on our meal plans, fees, roommates, accommodations, services, and of course, the application to apply to a residence building can be found at the website on the bottom left corner there, which is ontariotechuresidence.ca. Now, moving away from home or even just starting this new chapter in your life is a big deal. But students, parents, teachers, guidance counselors, I do need you to know one thing, and that is that our university community is extremely intimate and caring, and you're going to find support for almost everything and anything you need to help you make the most of your university experience. For more academic and education support, our academic advisors are here to help you switch in and out of courses and to help make sure that you're on track to getting your degree. Peer tutors and subject specialists are also available for a variety of programs to help you with any course content that you may be struggling with. Groups such as our digital community and our Ontario Tech Student Union are also active on campus, making sure that our Ridgebacks have supports, events, resources, clubs, societies, and much more to help you get involved, meet others, and feel connected to the campus. Now, it all starts with your very own Class of 2026 orientation, but your transition certainly doesn't end there, with peer leaders and academic advisors reaching out to check in on you periodically as well. Now, with our large supportive community and university continuing to grow, the reason Ontario Tech meets the needs of our students expands every single day. Now, these are just a few of the reasons why our past students have chosen us, from our smaller class sizes, appealing programs, well-known engineering programs, experiential learning opportunities, modern facilities, affordable tuition, our close community, caring professors, and so many more spectacular reasons. So now it's time for you to start paving your very own Ontario Tech story. For a first step, if you haven't already, I'd recommend scanning that QR code so that you can stay up to date with information regarding Ontario Tech, the application process, our events, and much more directly from me. And there are also many other ways to connect with us both virtually and in person. Our TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook handles are at OT Future Student, and our Snapchat is at RidgebackPack02, where you can send us a message, hear from current students, staff, and faculty members to learn more about our programs, admissions, scholarships, and much more. Our campus tours, open houses, and information sessions are also fantastic opportunities to connect with the current Ontario Tech community, see our campus, and learn more about the university. We do have a virtual open house coming up tomorrow, and we are going to be having some in-person experience days happening on the weekends in November as well. Our digital viewbook also provides a great summarized version of everything Ontario Tech has to offer. And believe it or not, if you have any questions, you can even text a recruiter like myself locally. The number there is 1-855-479-9318. And again, if you text that number locally, your question will go to a recruiter such as myself. Now, as I promised, there's plenty of time left for a Q&A session. So I'm going to take a look at the Q&A box and go through some of the questions that we've received throughout the presentation. But again, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today for our Get to Know Ontario Tech University presentation. You've been a wonderful audience, and I hope you have tons of questions about our programs, admissions process, and so much more about Ontario Tech. So thank you all again for listening. I'm going to take a quick look at the Q&A box now and get to some of the questions that you've asked. Awesome. The first question is, how easy is it for a college student to transfer to Ontario Tech? And how does the transfer process work? That's a great question, and it's not really something I covered in the presentation, so I'd be happy to speak to it a little bit more. So we do have a variety of options for students who are in college or have completed college and want to now transfer to Ontario Tech to continue their education. So we'll start off with transfer applicants, and if you're a transfer applicant, you may or may not have fully completed some work at college, but you would be applying to one of the standard four-year undergraduate programs here at Ontario Tech. Now, with that in mind, your requirements for admissions purposes are going to be the same as Ontario high school students. However, you can meet those prerequisite requirements through either secondary or post-secondary education. And with that in mind, we'll always take the better of your two marks if you do have them in two separate areas, if you have it in secondary school and post-secondary education. So again, that's for your transfer applicants who are applying to one of the standard four-year programs. If you do already have a college diploma or a college advanced diploma, then you may be eligible for one of our college to university transfer programs. And these can be our bridge programs or advanced entry programs, where we recognize that, again, you do have that college credential and will automatically grant you some transfer credits upon entry to Ontario Tech. Now, that's only done for specific programs, and the admission requirements for those bridge and advanced entry programs can be fairly specific. So what I'd recommend is checking out our website and seeing some of the programs that we offer, in particular for college to university transfer applicants. And again, seeing if you meet any of the program's admission requirements, where we can, again, automatically grant you those transfer credits upon entry to the program. All of the transfer applicants and college to university transfer applicants will be applying on OUAC using the 105 application. And for competitive programs, you would need to apply before January 31st. And for non-competitive programs, you need to apply before March 31st, both of those for 2022 for the following fall 2022 intake. That is a great question. Awesome. I believe that answers the next question as well about college to university transfer program. The next question here is, I'm looking for a PhD in IT. Any recommendations, please? That's a great question. So we are primarily undergraduate university. However, we do have a variety of master's and PhD level programs that I didn't, again, really touch on in the presentation. In particular, if you're interested in IT and at the PhD level, the two programs off the top of my head that I would likely recommend are either our computer science doctoral program, material science doctoral program, or our modeling and computational science doctoral program. And again, same thing, I'd recommend checking out some more information on each of those programs. The website to view a list of all of the programs that we have is ontariotechu.ca/programs. That's a great question. Awesome. I'm going to the next question is, do you offer engineering and biotechnology? That's a great question. So we have a variety of engineering programs from software engineering, mechanical engineering, mechatronics. We don't specifically have a major in biotechnology. However, we do offer an applied biotechnology specialization, and there is also nuclear engineering. So depending on where your interests lie, those are two recommendations that I have for you. Again, are the applied biotechnology specialization or the nuclear engineering program. Again, it really depends on where your interests are and what you can see yourself doing as a future career. But that's a great question, and I'm sure either one of those two programs will likely suit your interests and needs. That's a great question. Awesome. The next question is, do international students have access to scholarships in the university to cover tuition? That is a great question. So for international students in particular, again, there are a variety of scholarships that I didn't necessarily touch on in the presentation. For international students in particular, starting in September of 2022, we do have the Global Leadership Award, which is our biggest scholarship that is designated for international students. Once you are an international student and you do study at Ontario Tech, you will also be eligible for in-course scholarships. So based off of your previous year's overall GPA, as an Ontario Tech student, you may be eligible to receive that in-course scholarship for the following year of your study. That will again automatically be taken off your tuition amount. And again, there are likely a variety of other donor awards and external awards that you may be eligible for as the international student as well. That's a great question. Awesome. The next question is, do we have a tennis team? We do not have a varsity tennis team at the moment. We do have a variety of varsity sports, again, for soccer, basketball, hockey. There's a dance club, lacrosse, women's lacrosse. I could go on and on. Unfortunately, no, we don't necessarily have one for tennis. However, you are able to make a sports club where, again, you can have some overall fun and competition. And that's something that, again, that our athletics department might be able to provide you with. But at the moment, there's not necessarily a varsity tennis team. That's a great question, though. Awesome. The next question is, what are some of the school's traditions? That's a great question. Okay, let me think a little bit back to my student experience. The biggest one that comes to mind is probably in correlation with orientation. And we have what's called Stanley the Goose. And Stanley is not a living goose. Stanley is a trophied goose. And for orientation, what typically happens is all of the faculties at the university have orientation at the same time. However, you're split up into groups based off of your faculty. And throughout orientation events, you can earn your faculty points. And at the end of the orientation session, whether it's a couple of days, a week, whatever it is at the time, points are tallied up and the winning faculty gets Stanley the Goose. And that's probably one of the most hyped up events on campus because it sets the tone for the rest of the year. And there's a lot of friendly competition that goes on again at orientation and throughout this competition for Stanley the Goose. So that's probably the best one I can think of at the moment. I'm sure there are a ton of other ones that I'm missing out, but yeah, Stanley the Goose's orientation competition. Great question. Awesome. The next question is, what would the communication and digital media studies include? I have an interest in animation, so would that be a part of it? That's a great question. So again, I recently graduated from this program myself. So with that in mind, animation in particular and like graphic, like arts like that isn't necessarily included in the program. So for communication and digital media studies, you're going to be looking at, to really break it down, communication and how it works in society and around the world and in a variety of different scenarios. And you'll also get that digital media and technology aspect into it. So for example, you might be researching and analyzing and looking at different things in regards to social media, marketing, advertisements, and then other things such as movies, television, video games, music videos, and a variety of things around there. There's not necessarily a portion of the program that I can remember where you did any specific animation. However, you will be doing things such as there will be some writing essays, there will be making small websites, writing blog posts, creating videos, doing some photography. Animation in particular, I don't believe we had any. I'm sure you could embed it into some of your projects, but there wasn't necessarily a course that was specifically for animation. If you are looking a little bit more into animation, you could potentially look at our game development and interactive media program, as you are going to be getting a little bit more of the visual arts and graphic art designs throughout that program. But again, it's a little bit more specific to the gaming industry through that program. But that's a great question. Awesome. The next question is, do you have the placement statistics for the engineering faculty, and if possible, by department? I'm interested in mechatronics, but what is the placements like? That's a great question. So by placements, I believe you're referring to the co-op placements. So in particular, our engineering students have gone to a variety of places. For mechatronics engineering in particular, I don't know if I have any off the top of my head, but for engineering as a whole, our students have gone again to a variety of places such as OPG, Bruce Power. I know some of our automotive engineers have gone to Honda and GM. We've had our other students go to places such as I mentioned, OPG, Uber, Shopify. We've even had a student do their co-op and internship placement at Tesla. That's a big one that I know a lot of students are interested in. So for mechatronics engineering in particular, students I'm sure have gone to one of those places that I mentioned. But if for mechatronics in particular, I don't have like a list right off the top of my head for you. I'm sorry. But we do have a lot of information on the website for both students and future employers. So that might be something to check out if you just Google engineering at Ontario Tech University Co-op. That's a great question. Awesome. The next question is, how does the OUAC application work? That is a great question. So OUAC, to break it down, stands for the Ontario University's Application Center. And through OUAC, there are typically two, if you're interested in undergraduate programs, there's two types of applications that you could fill out. 101, which is if you're an Ontario high school student, and 105, which is if you're almost anyone else, such as a transfer student, a mature applicant, or an international applicant. And on OUAC, you're going to be able to make a profile, make an account, and this is where you're going to be applying to different universities using program codes. And you can select a minimum of 3 or up to 3 universities for the base fee and add on additional choices after that as well. And with that in mind, that's where you're going to be, again, uploading your personal information, transcripts, documents, everything like that. And all of the Ontario universities that you apply to, you can likely apply to them through there. So that's a little bit about how the application process works. Deadlines, again, can vary from what type of student you are, but that's a little bit about how OUAC works. I definitely recommend that you check out that website, which is ouac.on.ca. Great question. The next question is there a biochemistry program? So we do have a chemical biology program, which is similar. It's again just reversed order. So instead of biochemistry, there is an undergraduate chemical biology program. Great question. Awesome. Could you explain more about honor engineering programs and what the difference between honor and normal engineering programs are? Yeah, great question. So I believe you're referring to the Bachelor of Engineering bracket honors that you'll see on a lot of our programs. So whether it's engineering, science, Bachelor of Arts, commerce, you'll notice that a lot of our programs, if not all of our programs, have the Bachelor of blank, and then in brackets, it'll say bracket honors. Now, honors is just a little bit more specific of a type of undergraduate degree, typically a little bit more higher and notable than your standard Bachelor of Engineering degree. So in this case, in regards to how high maybe some might note the credential, your degree will say Bachelor of Engineering bracket honors instead of just your standard Bachelor of Engineering. So again, it's a little bit higher than a Bachelor of Engineering. Honors is, again, just the type of program that it is. Great question. The next question is there a bio program? Yes, so we do have a biological science program, and throughout the biological science program, you'll be getting your Bachelor of Science. It's your standard 4-year program, and there are also a lot of specializations that you can do within the biological science program as well. Throughout the biological science program and the other ones that we mentioned earlier, going back to chemical biology and the others that I mentioned, there are co-op opportunities throughout those programs as well. So again, it's a great program. You're going to be getting your Bachelor of Science with honors in it. So yes, we do have a bio program as well. Great question. Awesome. The next question is, roughly how many students are accepted into computer science? So this is a great question. And this kind of goes for a majority of our programs, is there's not necessarily a specific amount of seats that is consistent from year to year. So for computer science, I don't have a specific number for you, because with that in mind, the applicant pool changes every year, and the amount of students that we may have in a program can also change year to year. And this can depend on how many spaces are available in labs, if lecture seats are either online or in person, and due to that, that might fluctuate how many students can be accepted to the program as well. So I don't necessarily have a specific amount of students that are accepted into the computer science program. Admission-wise, what I can tell you about computer science is that it is one of the more popular and competitive programs here at Ontario Tech. So with that in mind, with respects to the prerequisites, I'd recommend that your overall average be in the mid to high 80s, as last year, I believe the cutoff was 77%, and the expected cutoff for the upcoming year is expected to again go up to the mid to high 80s. So that's what I can kind of recommend for you in regards to having a competitive application for the computer science program. That's a great question. Awesome. The next question is, how do you deal with how do you deal with international applicants? For example, the British pattern education. That's a great question. So we do accept international applications, and we do encourage international students to also apply to Ontario Tech University. I'll give a general answer for a variety of international students in their curriculum. Essentially, when you're applying to Ontario Tech, with, again, respect to the Ontario high school student prerequisite courses, you must also have those prerequisites, but they can be in your education's curriculum. So for example, Ontario high school students have to take a course called ENG4U, which is English at the grade 12 level at the most advanced grade 12 level. So with that in mind, you would essentially have to have the equivalent or better in your country's curriculum. So this can vary from curriculum to curriculum. So what I'd recommend is checking again our website. I don't know if there's a short link, but if you go to ontariotechu.ca/connect with us, you will be able to navigate to a page that will tell you what type of applicant you are, and it'll tell you a little bit more on the international application requirements as well. But again, as a brief overview, you do have to have your education's curriculums equivalent to our Ontario high school equivalents as well. But that's a great question. Awesome. I believe we're running a little bit short on time there, so I see someone put the Ontario Tech website in there. Thank you so much. The next question is looking at info for the RPN to Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. Great question. So what this person is referring to is our post-RPN program, which is, again, one of those college to university transfer programs, specifically for students with a practical nursing diploma and a CNO license with no restrictions. And if you have those two things and a competitive overall average, you can again then transfer into the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program. Some info I can give you on the program really quickly is that the post-RPN program is only offered in September. You do have to apply to that program by January 31st. So if you were looking to start in September 2022, you need to get your application in before January 31st, 2022. With that in mind, there are some upgrading options to boost your overall average if needed. Those upgrading options have to be in a week after, on February 7th, 2022. And the overall expected cutoff will again likely be in the mid to high 80s as well. Last year, I believe the cutoff for that program was an 85%. So again, the higher your overall admissions average, the better for the RPN, post-RPN program. Great question though. Awesome. Are there any co-op options for health and science programs? Yes, absolutely. So again, it can vary from program to program. So for example, our health science students might do internships. Kinesiology students like to change it up a little bit. They call it kinternships, kinesiology and internships. Science, again, there are co-ops that our computer science students do, a variety of other science programs, biology, chemistry, physics. So yes, in one word, yes, we do have a lot of those co-op and internship options for the health programs and the science programs. Great question. Awesome. And what do you look for in students other than averages? Great question. And this is in one word or in one kind of statement, all of our undergraduate programs solely base their admissions averages and admissions decisions, off of your overall GPA. So with that in mind, we don't require any supplementary applications. There's no portfolio, work experience, resumes, references, nothing like that. It's solely based off of your prerequisite courses and your overall averages. So that's a great question. And again, that goes for all of our undergraduate programs here at Ontario Tech. Great question. Awesome. I believe we've finished and cleared the Q&A box. So I'm just going to go over the slide one more time because, again, there are plenty other ways to connect with us, both virtually and in person. Some cool things that I want to know about in person as we open up a little bit more is that we are offering in-person campus tours. And as a newer university that opened in 2002, we have an absolutely stunning campus. So I definitely recommend that you come out to our campus and book a tour. The website there is ontariotechu.ca/tours, and you'll be able to, again, book an in-person or a virtual tour. We do also have a virtual open house tomorrow from, I believe it's 1 to 3:30 p.m. And with that in mind, you can come talk to our current staff, faculty, and students in a variety of different programs. And again, there are also many other ways to connect with us virtually, including our virtual open house, our webinars that happen weekly. You can book a meeting with a recruiter like myself. And again, you can even text us at the number below, and a recruiter like myself will be happy to answer any of your questions. Great. I think that's all. And and one last thing, again, just before I go, if you do have the opportunity, I'd recommend scanning that QR code so that you can, again, stay in touch with me and I can keep you updated on any information, events, scholarships, admissions deadlines, and things like that through email. So again, scan that QR code and I'd love to stay in touch with you and help you learn more about Ontario Tech University. I'd like to thank you all again for coming to the Get to Know Ontario Tech University presentation this afternoon. I hope you have a lovely day, and we'll be back again tomorrow at the CCUF Fair. Tomorrow, our presentation is at 12 if you did miss anything or would like to come again. Thank you again so much. Have a great day, everyone.